Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer.
And I'm Thomas Doty.
And we are the FITT Show, helping our folks get their finances in shape. How you doing today, Dope?
Man, life is good. Life is good.
Man, you got the right attitude. It's called PMA, not PMS, positive mental attitude. Always works. So it's a great day, Dope. Things are looking up. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and we're leading into the Christmas time. Just want to remind everybody to please click on the share button in Facebook Live and also click on the thumbs up button and the that's the like button and the heart button. That gives us traction. And please put comments in there. That gives us even more reach to people when you put comments in the box. And we always want to hear from you. It's just not me and Doty talking. This can be a two-way thing. And this is how we are able to have it interaction. Use that comment box. Secondly, if you're on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe. And you can also put comments in there on YouTube. So really appreciate that. And like always, we're going to get this party started. You all with the top things that we always like to talk about, though, at the top of the show is the stock market.
Yeah, over the last week, this is actually from last Wednesday, since last Thursday was Thanksgiving. But the Dow had a pretty good upswing. I believe it was yesterday where the market had a big up, but it was offsetting some drops that it had. But the Dow is up a couple hundred points over the last week, about 0.5%. NASDAQ's up almost 2%. And this is all predicated on the fact that the Fed is expected to kind of not continue to raise interest rates. They are starting to think that inflation may be under control. So we're hoping that's true. We'll know a little bit more tomorrow. I think the job reports come out tomorrow, and they'll probably, that's going to have a big influence on what the market does, how many jobs have been added. And they're hoping that it slowed down a little bit from the last report that came out. So we'll see how that goes. Microsoft is up over 7 points over the last week. Tesla's up 12. And that's kind of been going up and down. It's been kind of crazy. And a lot of it's based on the fact that Elon Musk has been doing some crazy stuff with Twitter, and they're just wondering if that's going to actually affect how Tesla's doing. Apple is down, and a lot of their factories in China are affected by the COVID regulations put in place by the Chinese government. So they are worried that they may not be able to continue to ship. And Pfizer's actually had a nice little move. It's up a couple of points in the last week. So it's up over 50, up to 51. It's about a 4% increase. So all in all, the market's holding steady. There hasn't been any big drops lately. And we'll see how we do tomorrow with the jobs report. And hopefully that is also positive. And we'll see where we go from there.
What also helped things was, though, the Federal Reserve said they're going to slow up on increasing the interest rates, even though they went up the other day from like 0.75 of a point, just for them making the statement that they're looking to pull back on raising the rates anymore. So that really helped a whole lot of things, man. Because what was the market up? I mean, just today,
it's up like 800 points.
Woo-wee.
It's all based on what Powell said, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, because everybody's kind of just waiting to hear anything positive. Whenever there's some positive news, the market tends to go bonkers.
Yes,
But
it does. It's wild. And like you said, so tomorrow you said the job numbers come in.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's funny.
that's another
You're hoping,
indicator.
you're hoping it's not as strong as it has been, which kind of means what they have been doing is actually working, and the economy is slowing down, which is what they're trying to do. And in slowing down the economy, you get inflation kind of tamed. So we're hoping that happens.
And I know a lot of people get confused, like, wait a minute, why do they want to slow down? Why do they want, jobs to slow down? Why do they want the income that they're paying people to slow down? The corporations are able to pay people. It's weird, but it's a balance with the economy. It's always, it's a balance. It's kind of weird, to me sometimes the way they pose it, but that's the system we live in. Let's talk about cryptocurrency, though. Now, the cryptocurrency market, man, has been interesting. Has been kind of turning around a bit. The whole cryptocurrency market has been dropped over 70%. Total cryptocurrency market was last week it was at 867 billion. It went up about $23 billion, about 3%. That's a pretty sizable jump, considering over a year ago, this time it was at 2 trillion. But the Bitcoin, still number one coin, it was up $240. That's about 1%, though. That's a change. It ended at around about 7 o'clock today. I mean, remember, cryptocurrency is 24 hours, but this is just as of 7 p.m. It's constantly moving. It's at $16,968 per Bitcoin. Ethereum, which is smart contracts, is still number two. It's up $72, but that's a 6% increase, up to $1,276, up from $1,204 for Ethereum. And then Tether, which is they call the stable coins, which is supposed to be pegged to the US dollar. The reason why I say it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to be pegged to the dollar, but it's also they finding out that they did some auditing that they have sometimes some of them support smart coins, stable coins with dollar and then some assets, but it is backed by some. But as you can see, it stayed at 99 cents. It didn't go up, didn't go down. The Dogecoin, which Elon Musk was trying to push, it's up 2 cents, and that's like a 25% jump, believe it or not, people. So I don't know what's going on with Dogecoin, but it's up to 10 cents. It was down as low as 6 cents, 5 cents. Last week it was at 8 cents. And Shiba Inu, which I know a lot of people, my friends, had it. Last week, Shiba Inu was at the number 14. It has dropped down to number 15. That's what they call a meme crypto meme coin, M-E-M-E. So that's the market for the cryptocurrency, though. It's kind of looking up in a way. But still, a lot of people are underwater if you got in like at the beginning of the year. So that's the take on the cryptocurrency. So, though, let's talk about our topic today. Now, go ahead, Doug.
It's going to talk about our biases, and we've talked in the past about how a lot of us have come into money and not really have knew how to handle money, because basically you never had any money. And the thing we're going to talk about today is different biases that you may have, and you need to understand those so you can know how to offset those if they're bad, or reinforce them if they're good. And everybody has some biases that may make us or keep us from making the best financial decisions. And if you know what they are, you can address them, and you can figure out a path forward. And so there's a lot of biases, and there's a big syndrome that we're going to talk about. And those could be preventing you from developing a successful money mindset. And that's what we have to do, again, because a lot of us don't know how to handle money or didn't know, and we do by trial and error. And some of us make some big mistakes when we're young. And if you can figure out where you are and start developing a positive money mindset and start making good decisions, that's going to push you forward. And then you can, build wealth. That's what we're going to talk about tonight.
So, though some people may trying to figure out, understand, like last week and this week, why are we picking this particular topic? Is because really what we're really talking about with last week and this week is the psychology of money. And that's totally different, because doing well with money isn't necessarily about what you know. It's about how you behave. And your behavior is hard to teach, even to the really smart people. Money and investing, personal finance, even business decisions is typically taught as a math-based field where data and formulas tell us exactly what to do. But in the real world, that's not how it works. It's not based on making decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them. A lot of people make their decisions at the dinner table, in a meeting room, where personal history, your own unique view of the world, your ego, your pride, even marketing, and weird and strange odd incentives are scrambled together. For those who fall on the opposite side of the spectrum, a unproductive money mindset, it can lead you to professional and personal struggles. So that's why today our topic is common financial biases, because that's really what drives a lot of people's decisions. So let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. Most people have at least one bias, and I'm hoping you don't have a bunch of these that are negative, because if you do, it's going to really put you in a bad situation. But those biases can limit your behavior, and that damages your financial decision making. And so we're going to talk about some of the biases, and if you see yourself in there, we'll also talk about how to get around it. And the first one, and that one hits a lot of people, that's the present bias. And that bias, these people tend to focus on the present. They prioritize immediate rewards over long-term goals that may provide larger returns. So think of it as keeping up with the Joneses, and it's only been exaggerated in today's world because of social media, and you see so many rich people on TV, and a lot of times you're asking, why can't I get that too? Why can't I have it? Or I deserve it, or whatever. Lavish vacation or a necessary job, big job you do around the house, or a new car. That gives you instant gratification, much more gratification than putting money in a 401k or paying down debt. But which one does the best for you over the long term? And that's what we're trying to get at. Get to the point where you can appreciate and you get gratification from paying down debt, get gratification from putting money away for the long haul. And that's just not something, again, we learned when we were young. That's not something that happened in my house. There wasn't no money put away for the long term. It was all paycheck to paycheck. And so that's pretty much what you start with. That's what you live with. And when you get money, a lot of times that's what you do until you learn better. And so that's the first one, the present bias.
Now, we know that many of you may not fit into all of these, but I do know that some of you may fit into these. So really take heed. The next one is base rate neglect. Now that sounds pretty deep though, but it's really simple. Investors often weigh possibilities incorrectly. For instance, someone sees the market going up, their impulses believe that it's always going to go up. And the reverse thinking when the market starts to go down. Market trends especially imprint themselves with people taking their first steps into investing. Like a lot of the millennials, they enter the workforce investing in 2008 when the recession was peaking, right? And that created the impression that the market is always going to be on the brink of collapse. As we know, it didn't. And it caused them to make, risk adverse decisions. And as we know, it went straight up for about the next 10 years, which was weird. But, experienced investors too can fall prey to these biases, and that's called the base rate neglect.
Yeah, and the next one is loss aversion. And that's quite simply the feeling of winning is not as powerful as that of losing. Okay. If you see, you get an ad in the mail that's talking about a sale, and it says the last day of our biggest sales of the year, you're more inclined to walk in or click through your phone and buy something unnecessarily because you think you're getting a deal. But the fear of losing can cause investors to miss out, and you might miss on a major opportunity, and you might sell at the wrong time just because you have a fear of losing. But that's not necessarily what you should worry about. Again, we always talk about having a long-term mindset. And just as in this market, it's had a lot of bumps and a lot of days where the market's going down. But prior, we showed you how the market has reacted after these downturns, and it's always been positive. And if you invest for the long term, you get a long-term money mindset, you'll do okay.
The next one is mental accounting. Now, this may sound a little deep, but it's frequently people make money decisions based on the source. For instance, bi-weekly you have it set up from work that a portion goes into your 401k plan. You don't even think about it, right? Middle accounting. But if you find $20 in your jeans, right, you tend to take that and it's like, oh, good, I can splurge on some ice cream, or I can splurge on Wendy's. Now, this is small examples, but thinking a little bigger, this behavior partly explains why 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt in a few years. It's called mental accounting. They compartmentalize things, and it drives their decision, when a lot of times, if they were really, really thinking, they would have a different mindset. But it's called mental accounting. You're keeping everything in your head, and you just go on and making these decisions just haphazardly.
Okay. Now, not all roadblocks to a healthy money mindset are necessarily biases, but they're also worth a longer discussion here and some troubleshooting. The next, we're going to talk about the imposter syndrome.
Oh, that's a good one.
Pardon me?
This is a good one.
Yeah, it's a common phrase. It came about in 1978 following a study of successful women in the workplace. And the researchers found that many of the subjects felt inadequate or undeserving of the rewards for their success, or whether they felt like imposters.
And though recognize, today we recognize imposter syndrome, it's hardly limited to women, or should I say gender. While effects are harmful to mental and financial health, high levels of anxieties and depression negatively affect decision making and hold people back from taking risks that may be necessary to meet a monetary goal, and to prevent them from asking for a merited raise. And it's kind of weird because people think that they're not deserving of a raise sometimes, and they're afraid to go to their boss and ask for a particular raise, or even in a spouse and with your husband and wife. Sometimes they don't want to go and say, look, won't take this money and put it over here, because sometimes they feel, well, maybe he don't want to listen to what I have to say. But the imposter syndrome gets a lot of people, though.
Yeah, and overcoming it isn't easy, and sometimes you might need extra help with a mentorship or professional coaching, traditional therapy, and a lot of it, that mentorship could really help you, especially if you get someone who's been through what you're going through, who knows the ropes and knows what, let's say, you should be making, or knows what your next job should be, or understands what your skills are and can give you the confidence to make you go get that next level that you might feel you aren't worthy. And we talk about that often, how people of color don't tend to share information about how much they make, or what their bonus was, where I think folks with money, and a lot of times the folks I worked with, which was mostly white folks, they talk about, they know how much so and so makes, and they know all the levels of bonuses and things of that sort, and it's discussed more openly. And when you know that stuff, it's a lot easier to go after it when you know about it, and you aren't afraid to say, hey, I ought to have that. You don't feel like an imposter.
So I just want to give one more example, because real life example, because I have some friends that, have not taken trips, and I don't know how long, because they feel that, because they're kids, they funded them in school. And I'm not talking about the ones that are tight, have the money. I'm talking about just people that have the money to do, but they feel that they're not deserving on, going on a trip, because they got so many other mental blocks of illusion that they can't. So they don't end up enjoying their life. That's another, syndrome, from imposter syndrome. But though, let's talk about some of the tips that can help people overcome this. One is acknowledge you're not alone. That there's strength in numbers, and although it varies depending on how it's measured, but as much as 82%, though, 82% of the population experience imposter syndrome, just like what I'm talking about. And this is according to a survey done, a review done in 2020.
And track your victories. Accomplishments don't lie. Review and document what you've done, highlights things you've excelled on, and that can serve as a reminder to you that you belong where you are.
Yeah, that's true. Another one, though, is recognize your natural talents. And oh man, I talk to a lot of guys, and we have a men's Bible study. And we talk about the God-given talents, and I think, very few of us are experts on everything, but most of us do have the capabilities and the abilities that come naturally, and it can help us thrive personally and professionally. It's just that sometimes we just don't tap into those, or we don't have the confidence. But look at some of us have natural talents on financial management. That is a skill, and it is a talent, and you need to recognize it and tap into it.
Okay, so let's talk about creating an abundance mindset. Okay, and that's another way to describe a successful money mindset, is an abundance mindset. And for me, it was always just greed. I always wanted a lot of money. But if you have an abundant mindset, that enables you to see more opportunities, options, and resources. It's the opposite of the scarcity mindset, the belief that there is not enough of these things that hold many of us back. So try to develop an abundance mindset where you want a lot more, and you look for opportunities and options, and you seek out resources, and you use mentors, and you improve your skills and things of that sort.
Hey, Doug, interesting. Modestine said she had a coworker who wouldn't buy a new car because she didn't want the manager to think she didn't need a pay raise. I know a bunch of people like that's called imposter syndrome, by the way.
Yeah.
How you feel about that, Doug?
Yeah, it happens, and it's, again, especially with us, with Black folks, it happens because we just don't know, and we always figure there's something holding us back, but we never know what it is. But it's kind of a two-edged sword when you say, I'm not going to let them know what I have, but It's kind of weird. That's a strange one, man. That really is. It's
Well,
just tough. It's just tough to manage. It really is.
and it's real though, because I remember when I pulled into the company garage, and I had the Mercedes, the big one, the S series, the big 4-door Benz, and my my director of finance, without saying any names, she was driving this old hoopty, right? She's way up there making good money. And I remember I pulled into the parking lot and went by her, and I waved, and she looked and then looked away, then looked back, like second look, like, whoa, Robert riding in this daggone thing. So some people say, Bob, you don't have to worry about never getting a raise from her. But
Yeah, but it's funny, and you learn as you get older. You don't know what people have been through. My pop used to always tell me you got to walk a mile in somebody's shoes. I'm sure everybody's heard that in some form, but you never know what somebody spending their money on. I always drove a real nice car. Always. That's just something that was important to me because we grew up without a car. But there's so many other ways I saved money. So, and I never really concerned myself with what people thought about how I blew a lot of money on cars because I always saved a lot of money other ways. And so, you got to kind of put your head down and do what you do. And as long as you have solid goals and a solid plan, you're going to be okay.
and I had another friend that had a Jaguar, and he wouldn't drive it to work because he didn't want them to see. Though that's a tricky one, and I know it's personal, but I drove my car. I'm like, look, if this and this sound crazy because maybe that's why I didn't get further
You look back.
into executive management, but I didn't want to. But anyway, let's continue though. Now, shifting from the latter to the former, meaning shifting from a scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. It isn't simple. As we telling everyone. It's to embrace the power of positive thinking. I know a lot of people struggle with that. And it calls for change beliefs. It's a struggle, but it's not impossible. For many, it's a series of small steps that eventually become a large leap of faith.
Yeah, and the first step in accomplishing anything is setting a goal or a challenge. And go big. Whether it's paying off a student loan that's been a drain on you. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to improve your eating habits. Set a goal and a challenge and resolve to get it done. That's in anything. You got to have a goal and go at it.
And you got to make a plan. Okay. Now, big goals won't be accomplished, in one day. So brainstorm solutions like that student loan. Maybe you want to pay an extra $100 to pay that thing down. The DIM campaign. Ask a friend to join for extra support and motivation. Have a plan, you all, because that shift to what I always call PMA, that's positive mental attitude, it's a leap of faith for some people, but we got to get there. We really, really, really do.
And it's important, like you talked about talking about it with other people, that there's so much we don't know about money. And even, and I consider myself to know a little bit about finance, but man, it's like the things you have to continue to know and understand. And I mean, just for example, the whole thing, you save a whole lot of money to put away and you save it before tax. And you don't think about the fact that at some point you got to do some required minimum distributions. You got to worry about the Medicare surcharge. There's so many things you have to continue to learn about that it's sometimes it can be intimidating, but you have to do it. You have to continue to learn because every stage of your life is different. And if it's the first time you've had money, it's the first time you've had money. And so you really don't know what to do because you've never been down that path before. And unless you're talking to people who've been through it, or you hire someone with the expertise to help you do it, then you don't have a chance. You really don't, because even in knowing and having a financial background, you can still make still mistakes that could be made, or it could just be bad timing or bad luck, or the market crashes at the wrong time. There are things that can still go wrong. But if you don't have that base knowledge and base understanding, you have no chance at all. And that's why it's important to talk with other people who may be able to enlighten you on what you should be doing. And back to the subject, though, you got to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Know what your natural talents are, and it's important to know what you're strong at, and it's also important to know what you're not strong at. And everybody has skills that they can improve, and try to be around people who are going to counterbalance your negatives and your weaknesses, especially when it comes to financing, and try to develop a good support system to help you in areas that you might be weak.
Garnett, what do you mean by your comment? Better have a plan, because that forgiveness thing is about to be off the table. Can you enlighten us a little bit more what you mean about that? That sounds something personal there. I like
Maybe
that.
she's talking about the loan forgiveness.
Oh, that's exactly.
Is that it?
Yeah, you know what? That's probably exactly what she's talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said student loan. Thank you. Yeah, that's what she's talking about. You're right. Yeah, okay, good point. The next one, though, we want to talk about replace but with and. Now, this may sound simple to you all, but we need to have this psychology of the mind. It's no longer about, I love to take that 2-week long vacation overseas, but and my mother used to always say, every time you say but this, disregard everything before it, but I can't afford it. Now, people with abundance mindset say, I love to take that vacation, and here's how I'm going to do it. And it's just as simple as that, you all. It's all about how you think about things. It's so intuitive sometimes if you just sit down and give it some thought, that we create, how can I put it? We sometimes put chains on our own mindset, and we need to break these chains, you all, and have a more abundance mindset. I mean, everybody can be happy every day, walk and share and jump around. We understand that. But you gotta have a paradigm shift, because how you deal with money, it largely has to do with how you think about it and your behavior behind it. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this is not so much making mistakes, but a lot of it is just not knowing how to do it. So when we talk about these money biases and acknowledging those, and eliminating imposter syndrome, and building an abundance mindset, that's part of developing a successful money mindset, which a lot of us had to learn to get there. And we still may not be all the way there, and we still may not make the best financial decisions, again, because we're coming out of not having any money. And that's not the end all be all, but if you can take some of these actions, understand where you are, make adjustments where you need to, and that's a big part of growing wealth. And look, but it's based on self-reflection rather than external influences. So you can control what you can control, and if it's not knowing, at least have the right mindset as you do learn and move forward, and get rid of some of the things that you may have done when you didn't know, because it's like we said several times, not knowing is not an excuse anymore, because there's so much information out there. But a lot of it entails learning a different way to think, because a lot of us were never taught how to think with a successful money mindset.
So let's just talk about two of the emotional biases that can kill your retirement, though. Are your emotions sabotaging your retirement plans? Meaning, some basic knowledge and careful introspection can go a long way toward avoiding a lot of deadly pitfalls. These include biases of overconfidence and herd behavior.
Yeah, and one of the big ones is watch out for overconfidence. That's a huge one, especially when you come into the market and you've done well and you've made a lot of money. Overconfidence can get to you. It's just like in driving. Everybody thinks there's a good driver, but there's 36,000 accidents that happened in 2020. But everybody thinks they're a good driver. And just like driving, investing has its inherent risk, and you got to be aware of those risks, take steps to mitigate those risks, and make sure you're not being greedy, that you understand where your risks are, and you are prepared for down markets, and you're not overly exposed. And you got to have a good plan to make sure you are protected from any devastating losses.
So therefore, when you're looking at your investments, exercise some introspection about your level of confidence. I know a lot of people get giddy when they see their portfolio is really high, and I myself, it's like, oh God, is the shoe about to fall? Or have you taken the steps to also consider what your losses might be, and can you comfortably accept those losses? Those are things that take some thoughts, just some introspect, and really think about those things. Because if you do, and cause you to shed a different light on how you want to manage your fund, then do it. Because there's no sense in being depressed and sitting up there, just putting more pressure on yourself because you learn about stuff and you don't make a move about it. Now, so don't ignore the voices of financial experts who encourage prudence. I know a lot of people try to, they do that sometimes. They just block it out, and they do what they call self-diagnose. So it's good to listen to professionals.
Yeah, and one thing you got to avoid is the urge to follow the herd. That's not what you want to do, and just doing things just because someone else is doing it. And you got to understand that everybody's situation is different. We've talked about this oftentimes, that Bob can't do the same things I do. I can't do the same thing he does, because what he does works for him. His level of risk is different than mine. His a lot of things are different. So you just can't follow what everybody else is doing. You have to come up with your own plan, based on your own situation, your own level of risk, what diversification you want to have, what your long-term plans are. Those are the kind of things you have to do that are personal to you, because nobody's situation is exactly like yours.
I just want to share some of the some of the comments right now. God says we speak failure into our own lives.
We do what?
We speak failure into our own lives. Joanne Skinner said we have to have a positive money mindset. Modestine, I love Modestine. I gifted myself a pair of diamond earrings for my birthday and took them back because I really don't need them. Why you take them back? Why you take them back, Modestine? Oh God! And then Garnett said, ever since I've been listening to you all, I've grown my money. I'm not rich yet, but I am better than I was. Mostly, let me tell you a little secret. We're going to do a topic one day on Are You Rich? Because a lot of people are really better off than they think, but they have that imposter syndrome that they're not really, that deserving of how they've accumulated, and they're afraid to have that mindset of feeling abundance. Joanne said the key word is yet. I don't know. You might be more. You work for the FDIC. Y'all must be talking that stuff. FDIC's been very, very good to me. But
And, and Bob, it's not like we want to encourage people to save and have a long-term view and all the things we talk about. But you gotta remember the old song. I mean, more money, more problems, because the more money you have, if you want to keep it and have it grow and one day pass it down, there's a lot of information that you have to have. And so that's the tough part is if you've never had money, learning how to manage it, which is a job within itself, and then learning how to maintain it is a whole nother job. And then learning how to leave it is a whole nother job. And it's funny, there's experts in every one of those sections. And for a lot of us, this is the first time we've been in a situation where we've acquired a lot of money, we're trying to maintain a lot of money, we're figuring out how to minimize taxes. And at my age, I'm start thinking about ways to leave it for your kids. But it's all, again, not to try to scare you, but there's a lot of information you need to have. And at a minimum, if you know you don't have that information and aren't willing to do all the research, go find somebody to help you along the way, because it's really easy to make big money mistakes by not knowing. I mean, it's crazy, from little things like inheritance taxes to, Bob joked about the Medicare surcharges based on your income, or what the required minimum distribution can do to your income. Some people start taking their Social Security early and didn't realize that until you reach your full retirement age, they take some of it back. All those things are avoidable mistakes if you learn. But if you have never been taught, it's really hard to know those things, and a lot of people learn the hard way. And that's what we're trying to circumvent that and put some information out here so people can make some better decisions.
So staying on the topic of following the herd, now before you look at your plan, again, I'm talking about before you look at your plan, ask yourself if you are prone to emotional bias. This could lead you to herd behavior, hearing whatever people are doing, hearing what's going on in the news, hearing what your neighbor's doing, hearing what your relative is doing, your cousin, at the picnics. Do you have a track record of moving money out of accounts or investments at loss, and then moving money in or purchasing when the market is up? That's called herd behavior. Do you worry about your accounts when you hear that the market is up or down, and you have an itch to take an action either way? Or are you doing your long-term plan and acting out of fear and glee? Me and Doug always talk about the long play, to have a long-term plan, but there's no sense in having a long-term plan if you don't stick to it. But a lot of people have these biases that come up, and one of these is called the herd behavior.
Okay, yeah, and prudent investing requires patience and thoughtful decisions to help you reach your goals and balance out the ups and downs. And so taking a good hard look at your emotions and biases, that can be the first step to improving your investment strategy for the long term. And you got to be honest with yourself. And if you see a pattern of mistakes, take steps to ensure that your emotions don't get the better of you, and that you know what your goals are, you know how to get there, you have the help if you need it to get there, or the understanding of the different subjects. And always try to be ready for that next phase that you haven't thought of yet. And that's the tough one, is being ready for that next phase, because you probably didn't have anybody in your family who's gotten to where you are, who's been through what you're going through. And so seek out that advice from somebody who's been through it, or a professional who can help you go through it.
Though it has been said many times that you really find out about a person by looking at their credit card statement or looking at their bank statements. It really says a lot about your relationship with money. And there's been studies showing that materialism It's just, has led people to depression, led people to addictions. It's really interesting. But um, one of the surveys was like, they did a study, can money make us happy? And when they found out, though, because people made money and more money, had more income, it didn't necessarily make them more happy.
Yeah, but you know what, Bob? You don't know that until you get money. When you don't have money, you think that's what's that will make you happy. I mean, we all went through it growing up. If you got a little extra money and you got something extra, that made you feel really, really good. And so that's the way you operated, and that's how you learn to think. If I get extra money, then I can buy something extra. It wasn't, let's take some of this money and put it away for the long term. It wasn't, let's invest this money. That never came up in my house. And I'm not bad mouthing my parents. I love them both dearly, and they did the best that they knew how. But that's kind of how you come up. And so you think when you get money that you're supposed to go out and enjoy yourself and splurge. But until you get money, you don't understand that it doesn't make you happy. That's one of those things you have to go through before you understand it. You have to get money and get something, and you go, I ain't no happier than I was before I got this, But you don't know that until you do it. And it's easy for people who have money to say that, and it's hard for people who don't have money to understand that.
Well, I usually trick the young people when I do the high school and even the college uh, workshops. I ask this question, though. What would you rather? Or no, what is better? To, have money, have no money, but have problems, or to have problems and to have money? And you'd be shocked. A lot of them said, I'd rather have problems and no money because more money means more problems. But I told them, no, problems are problems. Whether you got 5 or 10, they still problems. So I'd rather have problems with money. I don't know about you, though. I'm not going up there saying I'm looking for problems, but it's just our mindset, man, with money, because money really is atypical. It's not good and it's not bad. It's just how you use it. But in a lot of churches, they teach you that if you have an abundance, if you're going to make more money, that your life is going to be, sinful. I really dislike that mindset that is taught in some of the churches.
Yeah, but a lot of it too, Bob, is our age. I mean, it took me a while to get to this point where I don't have to spend a lot of money to be happy. But I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot. It's neat having money. That's for sure. That eliminates a lot of your problems, a lot of your worries. I mean, it gets to the point where all you're worried about is your health, because any other problems you can handle because you do have money. And if you don't have money, there are a lot of problems you can have because you don't have money. And so I understand that, but a lot of it is just education and learning what things to appreciate. And that's what I try to stress to my kids is not appreciate things as much as you appreciate putting money away, having a long-term view, saving money, and learning to appreciate your 401k balance as much as you might appreciate a new suit in your closet or a new pair of shoes or a new purse or things of that sort. And that's the thing. That's when life gets easier, or that positive mindset comes in, when you start appreciating the fact that you got money put away. That's a good feeling, because it does so much for you as far as giving you options, giving you peace of mind, and things of that sort.
So I just want to end on this, though, that there was a survey, study done, and the gentleman said, can money be taken spiritually or maturely, but which is in itself is neither. He said, if money divides the two realms, is also that third which holds them together. You can't really separate spirituality and materiality. So when the season is coming up, you need to really, really, really stop trying to separate one from the other and know that it's all one. And you must really think about, the decisions that you make. And it's a lot of times we always talk about a lot of decisions, it's just common sense decisions. And then a lot of decisions take going out there and learning more. And the third one is going and getting some information from a person who has been doing it every day and is professionally trained. So, this thing about, is money evil? And this one always killed me, though. I ask the young people, too, how many people believe that money is the root of all evil? And they raised their hand. I said, that's in Timothy in the Bible. But what it really says, the love of money is the root of all evil. And this is what people don't get about love. Love is a thought. So if you're thinking about that, so I hope you understand this whole 2 weeks that we try to approach the psychology of money, which drives your behavior. A lot of times your decisions. I hope y'all get it. We're not trying to impose our beliefs, but we want you to just be able to realize that there's more to managing money about just mathematics of it, just the pluses and the minuses. It's all a mindset.
And really, you hope, especially folks who come from no money, can learn some of these things before they get themselves in too big of a hole. Okay, it's like coming out of college now. I mean, it took me at least a year to get a credit card. Well, I think they give credit cards to freshmen now.
Right. Right.
And had I had a credit card at that point, I may have run it up. I don't know. I've always been kind of cheap, but I may have run it up. But those are the kind of things that if nobody teaches you, if nobody tells you, you don't know. And so you can end up getting yourself into a hole just by not knowing.
Let's try. That was a lot today, man. That was a whole lot because we talking cerebrally. If I'm saying the right word, saying the word right. So let's go to our summary and takeaways, though.
Okay, yeah. First, understand how your biases affect your financial decision. Know what you're thinking. Know why you do what you do. And if it's not positive, if it's not helping you reach your long-term goals, then change it.
Learn to control your emotions. It's people just money drives a lot of people's emotions, but really it shouldn't, because you should really be thinking about what you need to do. And that's not a feeling. That's not an emotion. Once you're thinking about, a lot of people think love is an emotion, but really love is actually a thought. And it says in the Bible, love God with all your heart and all your mind, with all your strength. So it's not about, getting, too high or getting too low. We must control our emotions, you all. And once you get more information, that's one way to help you control your emotions.
And be patient and make thoughtful decisions. We often talk about the long-term play, and that involves a lot of patience and not reacting when the market takes a dip, and making thoughtful decisions instead of emotional decisions, instead of following the herd. Making thoughtful decisions is always better for you in the long term.
Though, what they said, why a lot of people struggle with investing, and I thought it was risk, but actually they did a recent study, and they said it's patience. People don't have a patience for investing, to put something away and wait for 3, 5, 10 years. So patience is an important one. Now, this last one is tricky, though. Be honest with yourself. Oh, my goodness, this really goes past just money and the psychology of money. But we are talking about the psychology of money tonight. Be honest with yourself, you all. Understand, we talked about it, understand your strengths as well as your weaknesses. Just don't think about your weaknesses. Look at your strengths, because that's where you learn that you have more ability than you may think. Be honest with yourself. If you know If you know you're a compulsive buyer, do something about it. Make a plan, seek advice, seek help. Know and be honest with yourself, you all, because I mean, you all you have at the end of the day. Because when you leave this good earth, it's just you and what you've done. So, with that, dope. Just want to say thank you to everybody. Modesty said, please don't talk about Medicare. I received my letter of increase based on my income, and I'm retired. Oh, that's what me. I remember when Dope first told me when I was leading up to being 65, and he told me about the Medicare adjusted gross income. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
that's,
I'm getting
there's
doodled
so,
about?
yeah, there's so many things like that. It's and one of our shows we're going to talk about how to manage your money in retirement, and it's a lot of things that have to be juggled, a lot of moving parts. You know, your income, the Medicare surcharge, tax rates, your required distributions. There's a lot of so yeah, it's a lot of information you need to have.
And look, let me tell y'all, 2023, the FITT Show is coming with a bag. We got 20 pounds of information in a 5-pound bag because we want to talk about, are you rich? And a lot of people are way more well off than they think, though. And I mean, I looked at the scale, man, of the people that are in the top 2%. If you have a net worth of $1.4 million, you in the top 2 to 5% in America. And a bunch of my friends
In the world.
excuse me, excuse me, the world. And a bunch of people at the FDIC, I know their 401k is at $1 million more. But remember, I said net worth. I didn't talk about assets value, net worth. By the way, daughter, I meant to tell you, my gold is up $50 an ounce. And silver was up $17 an ounce. Yes, the big guy with the commodities. All those people, what you holding gold for, Bob? Will you think you a cowboy? Yeah, yeehaw, yippee-ki-yay. You know the rest. Okay, so so look, you all. Remember, please put comments in the box for other subjects you want, us to talk about. We even will replay, readdress some other things we talked about if you forgot, because we want to reach you where you are at. And I just want to thank all the folks, though. My wonderful sister Nolia is in there, hanging in again. My sister Linda and Rodney, the Note Experience. Rodney, hey, dope. We're going to have Rodney Madison Sr. Rodney's been on here, man, almost every week. And he does mortgage notes, right? People holding mortgage notes. It's like you being a bank. It's really amazing. Another vehicle to invest. We're gonna have him come on and talk about mortgage notes. And if you want to know more, go out there, thenoteexperience.com. It's really interesting. My brother Carl Chapman, what's up? Modestine, as always, thanks for the comments there. Joanne Garnett, thank you. Good. She said, oh, thank goodness for the FITT Show. Thank you, Garnett. You the best. And make sure y'all share this information, you all. Now, I know a lot of things we covered tonight. Some people might feel it don't pertain to them. That's fine. Share it with some other people who may be going through something. You never know who's going. So make sure y'all share this information. Don't be hoarding it for yourself. So remember, next week we'll be here again. We'll be here on December the 8th. Looking forward to seeing y'all at 8 p.m. The FITT Show. Go out there, subscribe on YouTube, and share on Facebook Live. All right, Dope. Good night, man, and look forward to seeing you next week, Dope.
Take care, good brother.
Take care, everybody. May peace be with you.